there's three major phases to pandemic. The first phase is you have to have the insertion. We already have the gun loaded with the H5N1 now spread all over the continent, which contains the really lethal genes like the NS1 gene, PB2 deletion, and all the other changes that make it up. 6 lethal substrains or clades now are that pathogenic that they're 30 times more lethal than the 1918. But now this second virus, this is called the insertion phase, where it has the capacity to attach to human cells. It carries drug resistance to most of the drugs. And what will happen now is this insertion phase may not be the full pandemic, but it means it's going to now embed itself and become endemic to recombine in wild animals, in human beings, and pigs. In fact, the report is that 20% of veterinarians that handle pigs have the swine flu antibodies in them from being infected by low pathogenic strains, and 5% of pig farmers that work with these.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Now, that report's from Ohio. So
wow.
Here's what we have now, is this thing showing up in New York and these multiple places is a very bad thing.
Yeah.
It means now it's going to embed in the population, and now we're not just going to have dead birds. We may have dead cats and dogs. Maybe it'll get into cattle and start knocking out herds. And it's going to start changing interstate commerce, and we're going to start seeing the military show up.
Well, we may see them sooner rather than later.
Exactly.
By the way,
we don't know, but I can tell you this insertion phase is number one. The second phase is what's called a recombinant phase, and that'll come in waves. The first wave, which may be not just this current flu, but a second wave maybe in 6 weeks or 3 months or 6 months, will be a much more lethal strain. And then we'll see repeated waves coming after that, and these literally could come for years. This is not just a one-time deal and you're done.
Well, it's just like West Nile virus is now endemic, structural to the entire world ecosystem. It's there.
Yeah, and that's what we have now. We have H5N1 endemic to all continents, but this new H1N1 allows it to recombine with what's called synapses, to switch and swap genes. So it has 6 polybasic amino acids, which would never occur, by the way, evolutionarily. This allows it to grow in any tissue, including in the brain. So you can actually grow it, spread virus for 8 days, spike a fever in 45 minutes, and fall over, drop dead from a seizure without even coughing once.
Wow.
That's what this is. This is the virus from hell.
What is it about pigs that makes them such perfect petri dishes for growing and recombining?
They're very close to human being structure. That's
they're structurally, the glycoproteins in their cells are very, very close to humans.
Well, it's a tissue match, too. I mean, they put pig valves in people and have for a long time. So.
That's another interesting story we can talk about sometime. It goes back to Atlantis.
Wow. Well, Atlantis, be as it may, is not on the table tonight. What we have is a virus.
But the thing is, what we're dealing with tonight is that this is the hammer's drop. Now, the problem people don't understand is that they're going to tell us they're going to have a drug or a vaccine, which means they're going to start vaccinating
they're going to
people.
Panic the population or force them to take it.
Right. And in fact, what they're talking about now in this report from Canada is they want to start vaccinating the health professionals, the military personnel, and the police.
Another great way to knock them out.
Right. And the Sanofi vaccine comes from China again. 382 million doses shipped all over the country to military bases. And this is an RNA vaccine, which means it primes your cells. And then they give a, quote, antigenically accurate, capsid, accurate vaccine later, and they supposedly, quote, are going to get protection within a week rather than 2 to 6 weeks. This is a lie, and what we'll do is it'll actually insert genes, because it's a attenuated virus, that will cause further emergent strains or substrains. We may not just have one virus here. We could have multiple substrains, all genetically distinct, at the same time running everywhere.
This will tumble out like almost like out of a pinwheel. It'll just spin. Throwing
in fact,
their
attempt to vaccinate, even in China, their birds in China actually created new substrains when they did that, and they found the same thing when they tried to use drugs.
We covered that, I remember.
Yeah.
Okay, we just have about 5 minutes left, True. I think we've really done a great job in an hour to bring this up to speed, to help people understand the potentials here. We're not saying this is going to kill 1 million people in the next week or two, but what we're saying here is that now all the ingredients are clearly out in the environment, in the animal world, and they can begin to do their recombination, and in fact are probably doing it as we speak. We also have the interesting thing of this very unique, very weird virus, obviously the Spanish flu, popping up. What's the distance between southern Mexico and New York City, Bill?
Well, what is it, about 4,000 miles?
Something like that.
Yeah, so this is not something, again, as Barack Obama said, I'm not going to refer to him as a president, I call him the usurper-in-chief, he stated at the G20 meeting that the avian flu is going to arrive in the West, in America, on a silver jet arriving from Eastern Europe. Well, the fact is they would have liked that to come out of the lab, but it's even a better scenario because it means that they can then, even if it doesn't have a pandemic, they're going to institute some very noxious population control measures or planned forced vaccination very, very quickly. And they've already done simulations 2 years ago. They did the take a shot or get shot in Philadelphia, June 25th, 2007, where they had 50,000 homes visited by a Homeland Security officer carrying, quote, medicines and or vaccines. A police officer was armed, and a U.S. Postal Service worker, which is a violation to force you to take a package. And that's all it was, the PSYOP, to see if you would take the package, so therefore they would see how compliant you'd be to inject you with a deadly and experimental vaccine or take dangerous medications.
Yeah, Patty sent another email of Dr. Patricia Doyle. She says, to infect the U.S., just infect Mexicans. The porous borders will do the rest.
Yeah.
And she said also, if the New York cases turn out to be swine flu, other cities with large illegal populations will also have the cases.
Yeah. I would just like to also mention again, this is very, very much an elitist eugenics program. It always has been. I refer, like in the paper I just sent to you and you posted, the quote by Prince Philip. Yeah, it's very clear. I mean, his goal. He says, if I were to come back and be reincarnated, I would come back as what? A killer virus.
And wipe out human.
Yeah, wipe out excess humanity. I mean, this is their wet dream.
Right.
Yeah, and by the way, the reason why this is a ceremony, we talked about this earlier today on my show with Freeman, is because of the ancient ceremony of the phoenix. They are the authors of the chaos, therefore they want to destroy the current bird and resurrect a new phoenix. So this is a ceremonial. That's why you want to use avian flu, and that's why the Rothschilds funded the World Health Organization, National Institute for Allergy, the CDC to resurrect the 1918 flu, transfer these lethal genes, and add new gene deletions in very specific DNA positions, like the 4-amino acid deletion on the PB2 gene, the polybasic amino acid on the H gene. All of these are not open for dispute. They're just the way it is. And this is totally done in a laboratory. Now we have this H1N1, so now all of the ingredients are in the cake to make a pandemic now.
I have another email from someone I will not identify, but I know this person said, I met with a PhD pharmacologist. The job was trying to find a way to stop a Spanish flu variant that had IL-6 spliced into it to suppress the response of the human autoimmune and immune system. As a standalone, it could not be stopped. And
that's right, and they have a deletion on the PB2 gene that bypasses interleukin 4 completely, not partially, like the 1918. It means your immune system shows no alarm when the virus is replicating in your body.
It's asleep,
until it's about to be overwhelmed, and you have the most violent cytokine storm you can imagine.
It's blinded. It's blinded.
Totally blinded your immune system.
Yeah, this was apparently this work that I just mentioned was done in Texas as well. So
isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it is. It's fascinating how the elite killers, the evil ones on the planet, the satanic mass murderers, do stand on ceremony and do play numbers games. They're very much in thrall with themselves, and that they're able to do this, but they always have.
Yeah, they're also crazy because this virus is going to recombine and create strains that they cannot protect themselves from.
One would think.
Yeah, and here, if they're listening, and they should listen up, this virus can also swap its genes with other viruses, including Crimean fever, Ebola, and other viruses. And the lethal genetics in these virus strains, H5N1 and this new recombinant, could become embedded in society, killing birds, animals, cattle, sheep, just like the Mayan prophecy.
Sure, it could cleanse the planet.
There would be a death of a lot of the food animals around the world.
It could even kill polo horses.
Exactly. And in fact, this is what I predict next. Just like it got into civet cats, wild foxes, donkeys, etc. in China around Xinjiang and Qinghai 3 years ago. I predict the next thing is you're going to start seeing dying off of large herds of cattle and other, quote, meat animals. And this is going to really start affecting wild populations.
All right, we'll see what happens. Dr. Ott, thanks for being here.
My pleasure, Jeff.
And
thank you, Jeff. I hope people take measures. Visit my website, NutriMedical.com. Listen to the program. We're going to be doing literally daily updates on this, because I believe that the hammer has fallen, and whether this is the first major wave is set in motion. The cake is in the oven now.
It is indeed.
The cake is in the oven.
Thanks, Bill.